there, Latte. Excellent timing. All right, welcome. I have been fiddling with the camera and my setup for a while here, but I think we'll make do. I feel like I don't have much space for everything that this game requires, but I don't need to have this out for too long, so I'm just going to leave it there and hope the cat doesn't sit on it, because she did earlier after I had set everything up, and she was like, ooh, nice spot to sit. Let me just come and sit right here on top of your cards and make a mess. Welcome to those watching. My name is Karu, and yesterday I was streaming the first part of Year, I think it's called. Yes, A Magical Year, a solo tarot card and dice stacking solo journaling game. This is it was very narrative yesterday because we were playing the Departure volume, which is the kind of tutorial prelude to the game itself, where we learned about our witch, Hazel, and her companion, cat named Earl Grey of Caddington, but we're going to call him Grey just so that a certain someone doesn't come check out the cards too. And we arrived at Koriko at the end, settled in an old sleeper car at the train station, and now we start our second volume, which is called Arrival. The game itself runs for a full year, so that's why it's called A Magical Year. From the departure from your hometown through the different seasons, then the year's end, and then you have to decide essentially at the end of the year if you are going to be staying in Koriko for another year or going home. And I believe there's a loop for if you're staying to just like continue to the next year, but that's how the volumes go. So we did Departure yesterday, and I did quite a lot of typing. I did make a version without the prompts and everything, so that you can read it yourself if you so want to. I'll have the links. Let me grab for those of you in the chat. Where is you guys want to read that later? And we'll have that in the description as well. So that was volume 1, and now we're going to start volume 2, which is where things start to get risky and we get into the mechanics of the game. So there's 2 main mechanics for the game. 1 for prompt is the card, and 2 for resolution of risky events, the dice stacking. So you can see I have here pre-written up. This isn't supposed to be in your journal, but I'm putting it here for the stream. Every time you do something, you can pick or have to pick a twist, and you pick from this grid, 4x4 grid, and you have to pick one of these. The ones that are colored and say risky, you have to stack dice, like it forces you. The others do not, unless you think that you're doing something that is considered risky and that could have a chance of failure. When you complete a line or a row for the first time during a volume, you also get a bonus, which you can pick, and I'm not going to read those out because we'll leave those until we actually get a bonus, but you get a bonus for your witch going forward. So the other thing this game has is for the resolution, you have to set things up a bit. I have already set things up, but essentially there are the major arcana as the people you will meet, so like confidants, and those are the NPCs that you will meet that will be helping your witch and essentially becoming friends with you. And then the minor arcana are related to what happened. So those are the prompts and triggers for your adventure. It is split up, so each of these is a set, which, okay, nope, not skills. So we have wands, cups, swords, and coins, though in my tarot it is called pentacles, but same thing. And you have to shuffle them in a certain way indicated by the rules, which I've already done. And then each volume tells you how you have to take cards. So I believe the cards become important depending on what you get is the kind of vibe you're doing for each volume. So in our case, whoops, that's confidence. We're doing Arrival, which says here to add 2 cards from each suit deck. I'm assuming because of the way they had me organize these that I am always taking from the top. So I'm going to be taking 2 cards from here, 2 from here, 2 from here, and 2 from here. These 8 cards are now going to be the only cards that I pull from for volume 2. So all of the rest stay behind and are basically used for later volumes. So now I have to put these away, and I don't want to lose the order, so I am using, I wish I had a way to do this. I'm just going to put them like this for now and hope the cats don't mess it up. I'm sure they'll behave. They didn't do too badly last year. And I believe, yes, I have to shuffle these. I'm always nervous about shuffling tarot cards because they're not really meant to be shuffled the normal way you shuffle cards. And these are brand new, so I'm even more wary of breaking anything. How do you guys shuffle cards? The interesting thing is, with the way that they set up the initial cards, I was indicated to put one major arcana on the top of each one. So that guarantees that I have at least 4 confidence in this first deck. And according to the rules, I will be taking out 7 cards in total. So only one of these will not see use during the first one, which means I will meet at the very least 3 confidence during this arrival volume. And I think that's interesting because, one, yes, it does force you to meet a lot of people to begin with, because that becomes important later. The confident cards become part of your circle, and your circle is always included, so that you have a chance to essentially meet up again with the same people across the year. And you can always, I believe, include in a scene that would make sense to include one of your confidants. They can also be invited into a scene as well, if I remember correctly. This is essentially the flow of the game. So for each essentially entry in that volume, you have to draw a card. Then, depending on what kind of card it is, you have a type of prompt. You choose a twist. If there's a bonus or not, you resolve that at that point. And then you either stack dice if it's risky or not, and then you write an entry to essentially resolve what happened to that prompt. Kind of like what we were doing yesterday, though yesterday we were only rolling dice to pick prompts instead of having the cards decide for us. So this is my deck. According to the instructions, 21 is probably the highest I am going for a stack, because once you hit 21, you get a bonus and you get a card. And then I believe you clear the stack. I think 21 reaches to like where my finger is right now on the camera, and I was not able to stack 21 dice the first time. So I have a bit more than 21 dice here, and I may have sneakily ordered these by size and sturdiness, because I did finally manage to get 21 dice up so I could check camera height. The second one I did was not in this case, and I'm not sure if this is why I couldn't, because of these words here are burnt into the felt and might be playing it against me. So we'll see how it goes. Now, it does say that if your dice topple when you're not stacking dice, it doesn't count as a failure. You just have to restack the amount of dice that were on the tower, so we'll have to keep track of that in case the cats jump on and topple a very tall deck. The dice stay stacked, so obviously the first risky thing you do is pretty easy because you only have to stack max 3 dice. But then every risky thing you do after that stacks 1 to 3 more dice on top of that, which is going to get interesting. If I'm not mistaken, I just have to go into drawing a card and starting. I'm kind of nervous. I'm always nervous when I do these kind of things, even if it's like a solo game. Oh, well, I met someone already. So the first card is the Queen of Cups. That is not a major arcana. I'm wrong. Queen of Cups. I'm going to go to Cups, and just like yesterday, I'm going to leave that card there. I don't know, I'm running out of space. I need to get to my keyboard. Just like yesterday, I am going to put the callouts, the prompts on screen so that you guys can see them as well. I don't know what to think about this one. A valued community figure has become obsessed with material matters, spurning those who love them. What is their fixation? Where do you meet them? How do you remind them what really matters? That seems to go pretty well with Queen of Cups, honestly. I believe there is some relationship between the actual tarot card meanings and the prompts that were made for the game based off of them, which I think is really neat because that isn't always the case, I think, for this kind of game. I appreciate that. And our examples say gilded placards, moose gardens, raising rents. I definitely don't like the last one. So our Koriko is a bit of a fishing town on the coast with a really big lighthouse. Valued community figure. Does not necessarily have to be a female, even though this is Queen of Hearts. Part of me also kind of wants to use like inspiration from the image of the tarot deck because this deck has such interesting art on each of them. This is the Tyrion Tarot from Guild Wars. Not based on the character itself, but what we're seeing here, this lady with her cup does look like she's very fixated on worldly matters. Maybe it's hothouse gardens. But I feel like hothouse gardens, that would mean like they're based like they're fixated on work. So a lot of these examples would be more work related than material exclusively. I like the idea of someone just so fixated on trying to get gardens going in the city that they've put all socialization aside. I admit I'm not familiar too much with the 1950s, 1960s era in terms of like, I guess they still have like mayors and like that kind of thing by then, not royalty in most places. So this could be still be a noble though. All right. Okay, so let's see. We'll do hothouse gardens as our fixation. I don't know how much I'm supposed to be writing in like first person, like I am writing in the journal, but we'll see how this goes. I might leave the journal writing for later just to avoid writing for too much on stream. We'll see how it happens. Where do you meet them? If it's hothouse gardens, I imagine this is like being tackled as a city project. So there's this like huge kind of like conservatory place that's getting built to house the gardens, or maybe it's already been built and it's like being finalized and there's these trucks and maybe even from the train. Ooh, that would be good. From the train station. Hello, Earl. Bringing in the new plants to go into the garden. So there's this like commotion. I'm glad you guys can see the important part of this game. Earl, you better not be stepping on that card. You are stepping on the card away. Are you just seriously going to nest on top of my dice? Okay, anyways, commotion and activity. So I was probably in my sleeper car and go check out what's going on and see all these plants and everything. And how do I tell? I know it's not a question there, but how do I tell that they're so obsessed with material matters that they're spurring those who love them? I imagine there's part of the commotion is probably a rather loud altercation between this community figure and perhaps family. Like maybe the sibling is there trying to convince them to come home because it's their father's birthday. And she's like, no, don't you see I'm busy? We'll use the female for this just because of the card. I'm like leaning towards the person on the card being the person this community figure is. I have to pick a twist before I really resolve this with the what really matters. I like that one of the twists is literally planting seeds. Feel like this early on, feeling homesick might be actually a good twist. Like this whole like fighting over this lady's father's birthday where we're assuming the father is relatively elderly and she's like, "Oh, I don't care about his birthday. I can see him whenever." And he's like, "No, but you haven't seen him in so long because you've been obsessed over this project that you haven't gone home." And that kind of spurs within me that like, I just got here. I can't see my family. I'm not going to be seeing them for a year. And it hits me that like I'm alone. I don't actually have anyone here yet. And this person has the chance to see their family but doesn't. So I'll put in twist. So I don't think my character is very confrontational and would step in during the quarrel, but perhaps once the brother has like given up and left and this woman has gone back to making sure everything, basically overseeing everything that's happening with the plants and loading them onto carriages to take to the conservatory. Hazel will approach and strike up a conversation, I guess. Introduce myself to this important person who seems to be in charge of quite a lot. Let her know that I'm a new witch in town, essentially. And slowly introduce the fact that, yeah, I'm still young and, it can be hard to be alone in a new city and how much I miss my family. And then try to inch my way into talking about her family in exchange. And I think for one, I'd say enjoying family while you have them. You never know when you're going to lose family members. And material things are always going to be there no matter what. They'll be waiting when you get back. And the people working for her are capable, which is why obviously she hired them. So it's not too bad of an idea to just let them do their work without hovering over them for the evening and maybe go check out her father's birthday and then come back later to see how things are going. I think that would work. Yeah, I think that works. All right, so we've written the entry and we will discard the card. That's going to be the end of our first encounter. Cool. So I will pull another card out from my cat's ass. And let's see. Knight of Wands. I'm getting a lot of high cards. I hope I did the as a cool image. So let's see what Knight of Wands says. Oh good, this one's always risky. That tracks given the like blood moon and weapon on the card. Okay, that's leaving. Good. Let's get that focus back. I couldn't imagine he was very comfortable. He just likes being as close to me as possible. You've grown bored of your routine. It's supposed to be the second day here. We'll say this is like at least a week after I've arrived, I guess. Okay. Always risky means I'm already going to have to stack the deck, which is a good thing the cat moved away, so I have space for it. You've grown bored of your routine. Where do you strike out in search of excitement? How do you wind up in over your head? When you finally get home, do you regret your adventure? And my examples here say rowdy concert, great bazaar, fairy forests, fallen star. Do we want to go with more mundane or more magical? Oh god, I have ideas for fairy forests. If you've read or seen the first half, you know what I'm referring to. We already had an encounter with some fae on the way here, so we're gonna go with fairy forest. So we're gonna go check out the nearby forest that apparently has... Errol, please, where was I? Forests. At what point do I take a risk? Like, this is always risky, so I'm not... You can't pile risk, can you? How does that go? Like, if I choose a twist that is risky as well, does that make it double risky? Like, do I have to stack double the dice? Stacking. So if you choose a risky twist, is the second when a card tells you it's all, you'll have 2 of the 4 skills to choose from. You choose this approach. This choice is shown on the page where you found the card prompt. Did it have? I don't know if it has that. The lessons you've written under each skill represents your witch's experience and practice. The more you have written under a skill, the fewer dice you'll need to stack when you choose that skill. So you have to stack 3 dice if you have fewer than 3 lessons, stack 2 dice if you have 3, 4, or 5 lessons, and just 1 if there are 6 or more. And you stack them on top of the existing tower. If you stack all the dice to the tower without the tower collapsing, your witch succeeds. They brew the perfect potion, etc. Write a new lesson under the skill used to capture their success. The first time you manage to stack 21 dice in your tower, you get a major arcana and place it on top of your current volume deck, which means the next encounter you have will be the wheel. If I collapse the tower, I have to count the most common result among the fallen dice, so the value that on the dice itself, and that is the consequence that I have to face and tackle. Now, the interesting thing is that because stacking can be a problem for some people, the Koriko does offer a separate way of emulating dice stacking without having to stack the dice. So if you don't have 21 d6s, or if you have shaky hands, or you have cats that like poking in on you at all times, they do kind of like a blind bag, and they have a system where to make it riskier, you essentially put more consequence chips in every time you take out things. So it's really neat and helps for those times that you can't really have a stack of 21 d6s somewhere. It doesn't say anything about doubling up on risk, so I assume it does not double up. I'm sure the writer will let me know whenever they get around to reading or watching this if I'm right or not. Which means that I could essentially take a risky twist and use it on this risky event if I wanted, but I am going to make sure I pick something that makes sense. So we're going into the fairy forests. How do you wind up in over your head? Part of me thinks I didn't know it was a fairy forest. So I imagine that, I've been trying to connect with people in the city, trying to make friends, but it hasn't been going great because people seem distracted and they're like, "Oh, you're a witch, that's nice." And I haven't really been able to make any meaningful connections. So, just to clear my head and kind of think things through and give myself a break from the industry and bustle of the city, I go to the nearby forest to collect some herbs for potions and magics, and realize halfway through that it is a fairy infested forest, and that they have heard about the tale of this moth sprite that got nearly swatted by Gray on the way here. And they're not too happy about it because I didn't really make any reparations. I just flew out. It was a drive by. All right, so what do we have? Oh, and you can only use each one once, so I'm going to an X on the one I used. Keep track of that because I do need to know if I fill in a column or not. Honestly, none of the non-risky seem to help. They don't really make a twist for this scenario. I'm leaning for either genuinely scary, because they can be genuinely scary, or perhaps a naive mistake. I'm leaning towards a naive mistake. Though up to your knees is hilarious because I'm imagining just all these tiny fae, like literally up to my knees in fae problems. What could be a naive mistake in the dealings with the fae? That can be extremely dangerous. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go with this. I have to make some decision at some point. A naive mistake. So how is that going to? I try apologizing and make the mistake of asking how to the fae. I don't think we'll go as scary as like what this card is showing, right? I didn't break anything yet. I do have to stack dice, but this is the card I pulled just for inspiration's sake. As you see, I'm in trouble. The meanings of the actual tarot cards were kind of taken into account when thinking things up. But so I went in search of excitement and decided to go into a forest, which turned out to be a fairy forest. Yesterday, I may have done a hit and run with a moth sprite, because my cat, Gray, tried to jump at it while we were flying through the air, and we just flew off. So now the sprites in this forest know about what happened and are angry because I essentially hit and ran. So I try apologizing and make the mistake of asking how can I make up to it, the fairy, instead of offering a solution myself. So what kind of task do you think the fae would put to the 16-year-old witch? Who listen, I didn't necessarily hurt the fae. Gray did not catch the moth. The moth flew off the broom before he could catch it, and we nearly fell off our broom because of that. But so there is that. But the Fae was kind of angry, and we just flew off because what else do you like? Look, in my defense, if I had stayed, Gray would have kept wanting to jump on the moth because that's what he'd do if he sees a little fairy moth based sprite. So, can you blame me? But yes, I need a ridiculous task that the Fae have placed me that I will have to stack dice to make sure I succeed at. And I figured I'd ask you because you have so much knowledge about. I mean, I have to stack 3 dice. Oh, I have to pick what I'm using in terms of skills, but that's probably going to depend on the task. So, any ideas? I feel like the fact that I am a witch probably isn't helping my case because it means they can ask a lot more than they could of a normal human with 0 magic. I imagine it's more petty than dangerous. Oh, and I'm just gonna double check. I'm pretty sure even with if I use care, I'm gonna have to stack 3 dice. Fewer than 3. I don't have enough lessons anywhere to stack fewer than 3 dice at the moment. But this also shows you what kind of skills that this character has in terms of sorcery. I said sprites, yes. At least the one that I bowled over or was rude to was a sprite. The Fae in the forest might be a different type, though. I imagine they'd be close to sprites, or some of them are sprites because that's how they knew about what happened. So it's not like larger Fae. It's more of the small variety. Oh, I finally found. So apparently for wands, I have to use craft or power as my skills. So losing time sounds like something I can't necessarily, unless the risk, the like risky thing is breaking out of losing time, make me unlucky. It feels like, not sure. I feel like it has to be. The first thing that came to my mind was something like having to help them with a situation. Because I am a witch, so I have powers. And it is saying that for this, I have to use. The wands represent ambition and expression, and it says to use craft or power. So it could either be they need me to craft something, or that they need my help with something, maybe. Like maybe there's an animal of some kind that's been causing problems that they need help with, or they need me to build something. Take something from another Fae. You just want me to continue having problems with the Fae further on, huh? You're just setting me up for future problems here. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, to be fair, even if I have to craft something for them, be it a potion or something physical, I could see the Fae being like, hey, you built this so well, we want one too. No matter what, I'm stuck with this, aren't I? So you said take something from another Fae. We're going to assume this is like a bigger Fae, right? So like maybe a dryad, kind of like that kind of Fae, like a plant spirit kind of Fae. What if it's something that sounds really innocuous and simple, like a fruit from a dryad's tree that they're obsessed over because it's super, super sweet? And but the dryad is like, no, these are mine, and I have to go and either convince or steal. I feel like this character wouldn't necessarily want to steal, at least not to begin with. The one I almost injured was a moth sprite. They don't all have to be moth. Why? It would make sense though if they were like sprites and take a spark from a will-o-wisp and jar it. Oh, so they have like lights? That is, you're really setting up the switch for trouble down the line, aren't you? I guess that could work. So that means going. They want light. Okay, fair enough. Would that be power or craft? I almost feel like that's kind of more craft in that I need to somehow find a method to do that. Yeah. So craft. And I might as well start stacking here. I think I'm going to stack at the bottom. I don't want to stack on the text because once this starts getting taller, I don't want the text to screw me over. Okay, luckily This is literally the first time I stack. So nice and easy, right? So let me go back to... Actually, I have already stacked it, so if it falls after the fact, it doesn't count as a failure. I know I'm successful, so I'm going to put that in my lessons. I bottled bark. So that's what I did. And that will give me a 1 to my craft skill. Listen, I'm just picking cards and then okay, we marked that. So they task me with obtaining. So how would I? No, I'm successful. We just have to figure out how we did it for the purposes of the journal. You're evil. What if I use something like a song to kind of entrance them? Like a song kind of magic to get them like dancing and then slowly... Okay, fair enough. I knew I could count on you to be chaotic and also creative with the Fae. Dancing with Fae. Look, I use a hypnotic song to lure the wisp and distract it long enough to bottle up and seal some of its spark and then leave quickly while it's still distracted and deliver it to the sprites. Look, the sprites have it, not me. So clearly they're the ones that could be in trouble later, right? Okay, I have solved the second card. Let's see what I get next. The next... Oh. Ooh. I got my first major arcana. Justice. So, this is going to be different because I am building an NPC. Lawyer with a sharp mind. Oh god. Did I just like bump into a lawyer right after having dealt with the Fae? I love coincidences like this. Budding young lawyer with a sharp mind and strong moral compass. They're pursuing a difficult case against an oppressive opponent. Can you help them win? They are a crusading individual. They are studious, steadfast, and occasionally impulsive. So the meeting text says, walking down a tree-lined avenue, you're lost in memories. Probably worried about the wisp, surely. Lost in memories. Probably thinking of my mentor and what they told me about the Fae, and how I have completely botched things already. Your reverie is broken as you collide clumsily with Justice, knocking their coffee and papers to the floor. Oh no. They're even more apologetic than you are, but you insist on buying them a new drink. They're a lawyer. How do you think you could help them with their big case? And we have missing witness, haunted bar, mystic substance, runic scar. Ooh, I like missing witness actually. Being able to like scry and look for where the witness is. Alright, so we have to make the character, and I did add confidants page separately just because that would be easier. So this Justice. I'm gonna call this game out because the first option for name for this budding young lawyer is Apollo, and there's a Miles in there, and I feel like those are a bit close to a certain game that comes to mind. We have Apollo, Emma, Say, Jeong, Miles, Farouk, Lamont, Roberts, and Kenzie. Kind of going between Lamont and Kenzie. Go for K. Opponent. Beloved politician, ruthless athlete, polluting corporation, property magnate. Considering the whole fishing thing, I feel like polluting corporation could be interesting. Maybe there's an oil rig off the coast that is putting in jeopardy the fishing industry. So looks, we have to choose 2. Searching eyes, thin glasses, fierce brows, cracking voice. Chewed lip, silver hair, tidy bob, pale skin, acne scars, neat makeup, restless hands, underfed build, lean muscle. Kenzie. I kind of like chewed lip. Like, they're like constantly worrying their lip because of the cases. I don't even know if Kenzie is... We'll say this is a... So, I'm gonna go with underfed build. So we have a kind of nervous looking young lawyer. And for style, we choose 2 as well. Stand collar, red waistcoat. Okay, I have to go for red waistcoat. Jersey tunic, Oxford dress, car coat, tan, clean denim, White scarf. Oh, white scarf. I'm already building a art, aren't I? Yeah, that works. And then we have to choose 3 tones. We're going to put that there, and we're going to go to the map. So to the swords section, he's going to be adding some tones to our map. And it says theatrical courtrooms, fiery rallies, red brick prisons, shady alleys, velvet curtains, glaring lights, newsnight copters, nightclub fights, gossip magazines, ransom notes, backroom contracts, stolen votes. Even all of this is still rhyming. I love this. Theatrical courtrooms just speaks to me because I'm playing through Fontaine's story, which is very theatrical courtroom style. And I'm choosing 3 of these. Oh, okay. I like shady alleys. We can never have too many shady alleys. What else? What else do I want to add to the city? Brick prisons. I don't know if I want to add ransom notes. Considering we're going for missing witness, that would be hilarious. No, actually, if we're going for the corporation, backroom contracts. Yes, I like that. So I'm just going to put this to remind me that this was from Justice. All right, so we have the tones down. I was thinking my mentor and the things they taught me about the Fae and how I've already made mistakes there. Do I want to do something risky? I feel like this is going to be more simple, and I'm going to go with renewed ambition as I managed to find someone finally and help them out. So my idea is they taught me about the Fae. Kenzie tells me over coffee, or I'm drinking tea, how they're trying to put pressure on the oil corp to install filters on their rig because it's poisoning the waters. But key witness has gone missing, so I'm going to help them by using my powers to scry and figure out where that witness is. Now, obviously, as a 16-year-old witch, I am not going to go help him do this, but it is very helpful for him to know where to go to rescue this witness. And that is going to give me the renewed ambition of, I can do this. And proves that, a witch's magic can help in modern problems. And I'm sure that will come up later as well. So the confident cards are going to go into my circle. I am going to need to keep those in mind because those always come back so that I need them again in the future. That was the second card? Third card? I think that was the third card. Yep, third card. All right, so let's see what the fourth card has in store for me. Ace of Pentacles. That is a nice card. Bear and Pentacles. Coins. So I'll write the call out first and then I'll... Oh, this is an always risky one. Great. It says, investors see an opportunity in your practice. What benefits could their support provide? What do they ask for in exchange? They seem honest, but what gives you pause? Do you accept? Oh, this is... Considering what just happened, I can see that any investor seeing an opportunity in my practice has to do with the fact that I can scry and how I was able to find a person who was missing. My first thought was like either police or officials of some kind or like a detective agency for missing person finding. But the whole, they could provide support. That could work. That seems incredibly dangerous, but this is why this is always risky. So my examples say top ingredients, prime locations, new communities, paid vacations. Those prime locations could be interesting in terms of scrying, but the thing is it says investors. So I don't know if police / investigative forces count as investors. Investors to me sounds more like people who are willing to put money into something to obtain a benefit. So like an investing group. And the examples kind of point to that as well. What could an investor group? I guess the fact that it's scrying, it doesn't have to be that. It could just be there's a witch that can actually do things. Like I'm not some kind of I'm not lying when I say that I have magical powers. Top ingredients. What if the top ingredient is bigger, fatter fish and finding where to go to take their fishing ships out to sea? That would work. So what benefits could their support provide? If they're a fishing corporation or a fishing group, I mean, I'd be set for food, right? That would be nice. I'd have my main protein solved, even though that means I have to eat fresh fish every day, which isn't too bad, though I'd probably get sick of it eventually. And some income, I guess. They're asking in exchange for me to scry for the best location to fish, of course. I could see it not just where to go to get best fish, but also keeping an eye on weather and things like that. So, this all seems great, right? What gives you pause? I think the fact that it sounds too good to be true is already a problem, but it does mean that I am possibly getting involved with a group that may or may not have connections to this oil rig company that we've created, or vice versa, that this group is against the oil rig company, and that just puts me more in the target of the company itself and them going after me for messing up their business. But surely nothing bad will happen. I think we're going to go with the possibility that helping them means I have another reason for the oil corp to not like me. Now, before I accept, we have to pick a twist. I think morning routine would work for this. If I'm joining them, it would help me out and give me a sort of job. And morning routine would mean every day I have to do this from now on in exchange for the money they're giving me. This one isn't a risky one. I don't know if I'm doing this correctly because maybe I should be picking a risky one. Maybe that's how it's supposed to go. I think if it's always risky, you have to pick a risky one. Your first test then, or set off a spark. Actually, let's do this one. So my idea, because I'm helping this one group, right? Once the other fishermen find out, they start being a bit more hostile. So I've made essentially another unexpected enemy in the people that I'm not helping. And now I'm gonna double check because I have to use craft or care, intuition or tricks method. I feel like this is craft. Could be either, honestly. I feel like it's more craft. So we're gonna go with here, and I have to stack 3 dice. So okay, 6 dice. Well, oh god, it's great. I helped fishermen with bigger catches. All right, so that's my second craft. One more, and I get to stack 1 less die every time I use it. Oh boy, I'm getting nervous when I'm typing. This gets resolved. I'm just going to. So what was my pick? Set off a spark. I take the job and to help them, but truly, I have an exclusivity clause with this investor group so that I don't help the other fishermen with the same information. But my success means I have some income and free fish. So there is that. Okay, we have 3 more cards before I don't have to worry about the deck. I mean the dice. All right, so we have another meeting. The Hierophant. I probably am saying that wrong. That is a really cool card. The Hierophant, or however you say that. We're going to name, it says cool and quiet. The Hierophant might not seem like an obvious friend, but beneath their guarded exterior, you'll find a teacher like no other. Can you break through? They are a monastic individual. They are seasoned, reserved, and insightful. Okay, interesting. Name options. We have Angel, Chisato, Eddie. Eddie is such an interesting name for this character. Obina, Solway, and Zaban. Let's go with Larkspur. Their temple can be a cafe, barbers, hostel, repair shop, record store, or a literal temple. I like that despite this being like a monastic individual, there's like, yeah, it could be a barber. I like the cafe idea. Let's go with cafe. We'll name it Cafe Soleil. Alright. looks. We pick 2 of these. We have tired eyes, dark glasses, warm smile, stained teeth, round face, tattooed arms, heavy sighs, balding head, slick hair, swift hands, rough hands, hunched frame, stiff shoulders. I love the idea of a barista that is like sleeve tattoos on their arms. And swift hands, maybe. Like, we're gonna go with and style. Sweater vest, simple robe, black apron. Okay, black apron is a must. Faded overalls, clean china. What is that? I keep not knowing how to pronounce it. It's partially because in Spanish that's not really a good word to use. Oh, it's a type of pant. They're like khakis, I guess. Lightweight cotton blend pants that come in a wide array of colors and are woven in a twill weave. I had no idea. Okay, that might fit our character. What else? I'm also probably pronouncing it wrong. Where was I? Linen dress, neckerchief. I don't think this person wears that. Leather gloves, woven hat, white loafers, well-worn boots, tame. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be the ferret. All right, and then we go to add our tones. And this is being added to the cups. So we're adding 3 tones. Dry stone gardens, coffee breaks, gentle rivers, planted lakes, twitching curtains, painted signs, crumbling plaster, corner shrines. Well, corner shrines has to be there because I already said there were corner shrines. This just solidifies that. Morning papers, funeral pyres, market gossip, parish choirs. Market gossip sounds interesting. Market gossip and coffee breaks because we have just introduced a coffee place and this is going to be here front. Our map is starting to fill up. All right, so this is going to be a very interesting meeting. All right, so it says, walking down a quiet street, you pass Larkspur sitting at a fold-out table. What little trinkets grace the walls behind them? And it suggests paper lanterns, painted eyes, crystal flowers, butterflies. I kind of like paper lanterns. Maybe this is like a quiet evening. So the lights of the paper lanterns was what drew my eye. What beverage are they carefully preparing? As much as this is a cafe, this is them outside and kind of, I almost imagine it either on break or maybe after closing, and they have to serve tea because honestly, I couldn't have it any other way, and I could imagine them brewing something. Maybe a chai? Yeah, they're testing out a new mix of spices for a new chai mix, and they invite me to join them. He invites me to join and be a taste tester. We have to pick a twist. I feel like this is a warm welcome. Not much of a twist, but nice and relaxing. I'm also not sure I'm going to get my bonus because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 2 more, so I either have to take these 2, or these 2 to complete the line. I guess I can take these. Yeah. Okay, so we're not stacking dice for this one. And what difficult feeling are you able to explore with them? Well, I feel like so far Hazel's just has that like insecurity of, is she doing a good job? Is she making too many enemies? And that homesickness from earlier. Which one should we go with? I feel like homesickness would make the most sense for this. So he asks me about my family, and that evolves into talking about homesickness and a lack of support in the city. I'm able to open up about my loneliness, and he suggests I come by more often whenever I need to chat. So hopefully we pull this card in the future, and I'm going to put that into the circle list. And that is going to be it for that encounter. You have made a friend. All right. Let's see your next card. Oh God, I'm meeting a lot of people. Okay, the Magician. Man, that is a cool card. I know where this is in game too. All right. Oh, I don't have space for you. Goodbye. Meeting people one after the other, huh? All right. So the Magician says, I feel like I need to make either a non-binary or a female character this time. Dazzling and gifted, the Magician is a force to be reckoned with. They are also cursed with fragile ego and unpredictable mood swings. What might you teach each other? They are a confident individual. They are brilliant, flamboyant, and self-obsessed. Is this the person we met earlier? I think it is. I like being able to incorporate things that have happened into meetings like this. Would it fit? I think it would fit. Maybe. Brilliant, confident, flamboyant, self-obsessed. But this person is the Magician. It feels like they have. I'm almost getting that like slightly magical vibe from them. All right, from the names we have Bartle, Devon, Hekuba, Jenkins, Lem, River, Win, Yoshimi, and Zeke. I like River. We're gonna go with River. Yeah, they have some kind of magic. Ornate spells, heirloom artifacts, occult science, ritual alchemy. What the heck is occult science? Okay, I'm not going to go with that one just because I'm not sure how to play that one out. I like heirloom artifacts. It's like a gadgeteer, like, was it Go-Go Gadget, kind of, but magical or something. And we'll see. I almost feel like, so River's going to be she, her. Keep wanting to default to a male and rather not. And the main artifact she has is a magical. Love that idea. Different colored eyes, yes. Different eyes. Piercing gaze, brilliant smile, playful smirk. I love playful smirk. Wild hair, bald head, melodious voice, shifting body art, scarred hands, slight body, stocky build. Nope. Playful smirk. Yep, I like this character. I feel like I've said this already. Style. Tailored suit, ruffled collar, flowing dress, gaudy cape, military coat, flared trousers, skinny jeans, animated scarf, hell yes, pointed hat, silver circlet, suede loafers, many feathers. We have an animated scarf. I don't know how to spell scarf. So, I kind of like military coat. It's either that or tailored suit, but we're going to go with military coat. Okay. And then we're going to go to the map, and wands is getting some tones added. We have glowing lanterns, potion racks, curry houses, disused tracks has to go in there. Disused tracks. Twisting alleys, paper prayers, talking frogs, walking chairs. Clockwork doors, soothing chai, cryptic symbols, ghostly cries. I feel like soothing chai needs to be in here now. We already mentioned it earlier. Cryptic symbols, ghostly cries. I like twisting alleys, but we already put shady alleys. I feel like I don't want to make it that hard on me. I like clockwork doors, but I think cryptic symbols sounds more interesting. Okay. And I will point out, it is not guaranteed that these were the people you meet. When you're building your deck, you're basically choosing from a bunch of different options. So the Major Arcana has 23 cards, and I only have about 4 to 6 realistically in this specific volume deck. So you can end up meeting very different people instead of the ones that I have pulled so far. So we'll go back to here, and we'll put out all out. It says, wandering the streets close to dusk, you sense that you've taken a wrong turn. The shadows grow long and you are alone. Without looking, how do you come to realize that you're being followed? And the examples provided say nervous laughter, rumbling growls, reek of sulfur, nearing howls. So this is, oh God, someone has delivered food to me. Don't put it too close. I'm gonna get hungry from the smell. Hey, brat. From the wording here, it sounds like this being followed is not necessarily mundane. It feels like it could be more magical. So I'm gonna call back to that will-o-wisp that has now figured out that I tricked it and is following me in this alley close to dusk. Now that in the dark alley, so I see a natural blue lights dancing on the walls around me and realize it's the will-o-wisp. Late night flight, maybe? A rooftop chase sounds great. Yeah, because I need to make this. Oh, I don't need to make this risky. That's true. But heck, why not? Live dangerously. Okay, so the will-o-wisp isn't giving up easily, but they do initially dispatch the menace because we have to kind of pull that in. This person has to be adept enough to prove their cocky, playful smirk and their confidence. When I call her River, River appears as if out of nowhere. So we get up onto the rooftops, and then it is running along. And let me double check. Power or craft? I think this is going to be power. Yeah. That means 3 more dice. Oh boy, it seems like I'm getting lopsided, but there we go. How tall am I? 9. Successfully outrun the will-o-wisp. So we end up at the Café Soleil because why not? And that is where we have a chat. Okay, cool. I now have a 9-stack tower. This is fine. We have another confidant, and I have 2 cards left, only 1 left to take out for this volume. Knight of Swords, so we're not getting another confidant. Let's see what the Knight of Swords says. So it says, an occult society grows in popularity. What clear goal do they strive towards? You sense a protective enchantment that binds its members together. Do you try to dispel it or leave them be? Interesting. So Swords is influence and conflict. Use power or lore skills. Do we want this to be a good society or a bad society? What twists do we have available? This is my last card. This does not have to be risky. So I could make it a good society and use planting seeds and try to befriend them. And that would let me pick a bonus. Otherwise, there is no bonus for me. Does the stacking of cards go, like the stacking, does it reset? I don't think it resets. Yeah, I think the stack remains. Considering that and what one of the bonuses is, I'm going to go for planting seeds, which has the added bonus that I'm not adding to my stack. So the first time I complete a row or column, I get to choose a bonus, and the 2 bonuses I have are push yourself. Next time you need to stack dice, stack 2 additional dice. If you succeed, you may record a second lesson under any skill. That seems incredibly dangerous at the moment. My stack is already pretty tall. My other option is to take a break. Remove up to 6 dice from your tower, restacking it as necessary. Consider how you find some time for yourself to recover. I like that it says up to 6 dice. I know that you get a special card and interaction when you get up to 21, so you don't necessarily want to, but I like the idea of being able to take 6 die off of the stack for the next volume. So we're going to do that, and we're going to grab all 6. So there we go. 6 die. I'm going to put those back into my stack here. And we are back to a stack of 3 dice left. Now, planting seeds. So that means we're going to make this a group that I'm interested in joining. I don't think I'm going to join right now. We'll leave that as an opportunity for later. I'm sure something will come up. This card gets discarded because this is my last card. I'm not using the last one. Cult society grows in popularity. What peculiar goal do they strive towards? I forgot. What was the Knight of Swords? So it says, build the tower, break the seal, keep it burning, plow the field. What could they be doing? None of these necessarily call to me and ideas I have. We want it to be, at the very least, superficially benign. They could end up not being benign in the long run. That all depends on how things go, right? I like the idea of leaving it slightly vague, like first impressions for the 16-year-old, which is I want to join them because what they're striving for is good. So it has to be something that would make my witch want to join. We have a fishing village, we have the lighthouse, not village, city. We have the cafe, we have a fae forest, so we have a magical forest. Let me just go back to my map. Corner shrines, could it have something to do with the corner shrines? Or maybe the cryptic symbols? Choices. Maybe the cryptic symbols have something to do with like a citywide seal of some kind. But why would it be good to break the seal? Maybe instead of breaking the seal, it's completing it, because like they're the ones that have been putting down the symbols to form a perhaps a protective. Oh, okay. Well, there goes my tower. Maybe they're the ones putting down the symbols to create a seal. Instead of breaking a seal, maybe they're making a protective barrier around the city to make sure that bad spirits don't come into the city. I like that idea. It has possibility of bad things happening in the future because of that seal or shield of some kind. But it does mean that my little witch is more likely to feel like this is a good thing. It is protecting the city from outside forces, and so would be interested in possibly joining the cult. Sorry, not cult, society. Totally not a cult. They're the ones behind the cryptic symbols found around the city. They are trying to form a magical barrier to protect the city from monsters and evil fae. You sense a protective enchantment that binds its members together. Do you try to dispel it or leave them be? Finding out about them, I feel like their goals are good. So approve of the society's goals and see no issue with the binding enchant. So I let them be, but strive to find out more about them, their society, and whether I want to join them or not. As for planting seeds, I am going to mention I find out about this from it was the not the justice. So I find out about this from Larkspur, and I let him know I'm tentatively interested in joining. Okay. So that is the last card. This one gets discarded. So this is my discard pile. And I have met 3 confidants, the Hierophant, the Magician, and the Justice. So I'm guessing the last card I didn't pull was the 4th one. That is the last thing that happens during spring. So we go on to rest. After your last card in this volume is resolved, take a moment to pause. Rest for 1 minute. Consider how life begins to wake up in spring, and how the births and blooms of the city resonate with your own journey. Then you may write a new lesson that captures those feelings. We have 1 minute. Go over everything. Consider how life begins to wake up in spring. Well, so far we've found out about an occult society, met 3 very interesting characters, made some enemies, and man, I made a lot of enemies, didn't I? Got the will-o-wisp, got the fisherman I'm not helping, possibly the oil corporation. I've made some friends though. I'm sure the valued community figure is at the very least amenable to me, and I have some friends with power, even if they may be not quite powerful. It feels like I'm finding that place to belong here in this city finally. And we have to write a new lesson that captures those feelings of making friends, enemies, I guess. Finding my place. I feel like that's the lesson here. Finding my place. I feel like that might be care, but it could also be lore or power. considering the mixed bag here, I think it would fit more in lore because it's curses, visions, history. Yeah, so let's put it here, and I'm starting to learn my place in the city. I've been kind of balanced in where I put my skills so far, which means none of these actually affect my dice stacking yet. But that's okay. This is only volume 2 out of 7, and I have a lot of lessons yet to be learned. How did I put? I just said letter. Okay. Why does this say? Oh, I was reading the wrong one. Rest for 1 minute. Consider the people you've met since arriving, what you feel they say about the city, and what they might say about you. That makes a lot more sense than what I had read before. Whoops. No wonder. Consider the people you've met since arriving, what you feel they say about the city, and what they might say about you. I feel like I'm discovering that even though not, I mean, I met a magician, at least someone with powers that are not necessarily magic, but they are magical, that I'm not the only magic in the city, and that there is, in fact, some magic going on here with the society. I thought I was coming into a city that was like all industry and no magic, and finding out that there's fae involved and everything, that there is still a bit of the old ways left. And yeah, I'm not sure if I should change. I think I can still leave that. It still resonates with what I'm talking about. Let's see. Letter home. What does it say? So we have 2 callouts. It says a place to stay. Choose one of your confidants. How do they learn about your current living arrangements? Realizing that you have no secure place to live, they insist on finding you somewhere. What kind of space do they make available for you? How do you know you'll be safe? And the examples say vacant bedroom, dusty loft, painted wagon, undercroft. Now, of the 3 I met, I like the idea of being like either on top of the practice of our lawyer friend or on top of the cafe. And because I love cafes and tea houses and all that, I'm going to go for the cafe, because living on the 2nd floor of the cafe in a little dusty loft sounds very whimsical and magical, and I love that idea. And honestly, Larkspur is probably the one that would be the most talkative with me to realize that I needed a place. So I think it might have come up in the first conversation, right? When we first met, asked me. So he asked me where I was living and was horrified to find out that I was temporarily living in a decommissioned sleeper car, and told me he'd help me find a better place. It wasn't immediate, but unbeknownst to me, he clears out a space in the loft above the cafe, which obviously he owns. This isn't some chain place. He cleans out the dusty loft above the cafe and invites me to live there for a modest fee, or in exchange for helping out in the cafe. Which I guess we'll find out later. I do have some income, so I could pay, but I love the idea of a part-time worker at the cafe. This little witch who works at a cafe. And how do I know I'll be safe? Larkspur is reliable and linked to society working to defend the city against the supernatural, so I know he will make sure I am safe. That is the coda. And then we need 2 reflections. We have first job, cadences, adrift, small talk, and fiction. I don't think I'm going to go for fiction again. I already lied in my first one, and so much has happened. You've already helped someone in Koriko with your witchcraft. How does it remind you of something you did with your mentor? I feel like I don't want to mention necessarily that I'm helping fishermen basically on a daily basis to help them with their fishing. My mentor would not approve of that. So this is my letter home. So a letter to my mentor. And that means if I go for first job, let's go for first job. Because, whoops, I like the whole letting your mentor know that you're actually making a dent in what you set out to do. So how does it remind me? So I tell my mentor of how I helped a lawyer, and that was find a missing person. The person was found safe and sound thanks to my scrying. It reminded me of when I was little and during a game hide and seek. I lost my sister, and Sonnet helped with us find her before she was hurt. I like that. And the second one, I like Adrift because it says you lost your way at some point, physically or otherwise, and honestly, both have happened during this volume. I feel like they'd not be entirely truthful to the mentor because I'm thinking of the will-o-wisp and losing myself in the alleys. I mention how one evening I got lost in the back alleys and nearly ran into trouble. We don't have to mention exactly what that trouble was. We're going to leave it vague. I'm sure that's not going to bother our mentor at all or make them wonder exactly what happened. I tell them about meeting someone. Mary helped me find my way back. After that occurrence, I always take my broom with me when I know I could, so I can just fly home. Yeah, imagine I left the broom at home to begin with because, it's kind of awkward walking around town with a broom in hand. But then that happened and it's like, I should probably just carry it with me. It's fine. People know I'm a witch. And that way, if I'm lost in the back alleys or something happens, I can just hop on the broom, which is much easier than trying to, navigate the shady alleys. Okay, and that is the end of volume 2. Just about 2.5 hours. Well, slightly less writing because I went with the point system. I feel like that was easier for me than having to write everything out. I still put it from my point of view. And honestly, this is kind of like how I journal in my own journal. I kind of do point instead of full out paragraphs. So it is more my style. It is still kind of like a journal. It's just how I actually journal in real life. So that fits. So I'm liking it. I feel like I definitely want to go through the rest of the volumes. I don't know if I'd be doing them on stream or not, mainly because we don't really have an audience. And if I'm talking to myself, I just realized that I've been talking to myself for 2.5 hours and I haven't taken a single drink of water. But yeah, these will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you're looking at it at YouTube, please subscribe and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more. Do you want me to record? I wouldn't necessarily do them live, but I could. But at the very least, I could record them and post them on YouTube. Would you be interested in reading the rest of the entries and journals? Would you want to know what happens to Hazel in the rest of the year that she's at Koriko and how she grows and runs into problems? Let me know, and thanks for watching. If you want to pick up Koriko yourself, you can do that. The digital version is up on Itch. I will grab the links, have that in the description down below. If you're looking at this on YouTube, I don't think I have any viewers interested right now, so I'm not going to bother linking that. But yeah, check it out. They are kickstarting the physical version, and you can still buy the physical version pre-order on their Backerkit, which will also be linked down below. And that includes a boxed set that comes with the prompt cards and handouts and a set of dice for you to use for stacking. So it's really cool. Check it out, and maybe you'll do your own adventure with your own little witch. I hope you do. So that's it for me. Good night.